Hello, good evening, and welcome to the show. This is The Couch. My name is Pratt. Today is the 11th of July. We are still not yet even in the second week of the month, and yet it's been the most eventful July, in recent, actually the most eventful month of the year. I talk too much. Let me get to the issue. So, over the weeks, a couple of weeks now, I've always been talking about how this is the silly season. I actually have been saying that the silly season is upon us, and it's gotten all of us eager and anxious, not just for the drama, because I love the drama, I have to say. However, there are real important consequences for us, as individuals, and more importantly for our nation. It is the reason why, we are very keen to come here every week and have, these conversations. We speak from our hearts, we say what we know, we speak, the truth as we know it. This week has been just as eventful. In fact, very, very eventful. Starting from Sunday, the 7th of July, former President John Dramani Mahama had an encounter with the media, dubbed, Conversations with John. Very eventful. I myself was there. All of us here tonight having this conversation, we're there, in person. We will have a conversation around his conversation. How impactful is it? What does it mean for the upcoming election? What does it mean for our developments? The things he said, how feasible are they? Are they the kind of policies we need going into the 2024 elections? All of those conversations. Also, on the 9th of July, that's on Tuesday, the MPP outdoored its running mates, Napo. All too soon, boom, drama. Enough to talk about for, another 2 weeks. And we are here for it. So, welcome to the show. Let me introduce my guest. I have joining me D. Kojo Jackson. Hi, Kojo.
Hi, Emma.
Great to see you.
It's wonderful to be
Prophet
here.
of our time.
Oh, God, not you too.
We'll come to that in a minute. Oh, my offering is ready. I have my offering in my bag. Hi, Kwame.
Hello, Emma.
Great to see you. Great to see you too. And hi, Ivy.
Hello.
Always a pleasure.
Pleasure to be back.
Always a pleasure. Okay, I think we are waiting for lawyer Pierre Dankwa to join us, but we'll carry on, as he makes his way here. Kojo, let's start with Mahama, and then we'll come to Napo. We're all there. I was there with Kwame. I didn't see you, but I think you were there.
I saw
you. You saw me? Oh, okay.
I saw all there.
We're all there. That I know for a fact. We're all there. Of all four of us, Kwame, actually, no, Kojo, you asked the question. So I'll start from you. I mean, you didn't make it.
Yes. My hands were
didn't
up,
catch
but I
the
couldn't
eye
catch Sammy
of
James. No problem. I'll just ask questions on our behalf.
Next time. So I'll start with you. What do you make of the engagement? Forgive me that I do this, but I always start with the look and feel of an event before I get to the substance of the event. So perhaps we can start from there. Can I,
Sure.
For me, really well put together. I like the fact that the stage was clean. It was just him. Nothing distracted us, The room itself that they chose, they make sure that the journalists had tables in front of them, water, paper, pen. There were other sitting sessions. Those didn't have the tables. The NDC functionary side, they didn't have any tables. They were there to just watch. They were meant to be seen and not heard. And the sitting arrangement told that story. They took the journalists seriously. They put them in the middle, with tables. So yeah, I have to say. Also, he took the time to sort of actually engage. He had a paper and a pen. He was writing. He came for business. So that's my takeaway in terms of look and feel. What's yours?
Yeah, I think I agree generally with your assessment of it. It was a well put together event. I'll go even further and say that the original concept of the event was a rather clever one. It's a good idea to engage the media as not a replacement, but an enhancement of the campaign process. So yeah, you're going to go out and talk to your people. At a rally, it's your people. Your opponents will not attend your rally. So anybody who attends your rally wants to vote for you anyway. So the things you will say on the campaign trail at rallies tend to be, an echo chamber. You are talking to your own people. this gives the opportunity for those who are never going to come to your rally to observe you dealing with questions coming from people who are not vested in your success. I mean, at least in theory. The media, you know, where we don't care who wins as long as the person is chosen fairly, right? So it's a good, in fact, in terms of format, it's a clever way of communicating with the voter beyond the rally stage. It gave the candidate of the NDC the opportunity to play to his strength, which is speaking off the cuff. You know, that is John Mahama's strength. Akufo-Addo's strength had always been giving prepared speeches. Okay, so Akufo-Addo is able to do a performance with a speech, and his oratory skill is celebrated. But it all, you know, it's all a bit of a performance. It's a polished, you know, delivered, you know, and it's not an. He doesn't speak to the individuals in the crowd. He speaks to the mass of the world. John Mahama has the strength of being able to speak to the individuals in the crowd, and he does it very well without the need for too much preparation. He does have a general grasp of issues to the extent that he's able to answer most questions with some level of authority. So he was in his comfort zone. That was a good idea to present, you know, himself in that format. Was there a downside? Yes, I think it's unfortunate that the way in which the questioning was done, and I don't know what the alternative would have been, but yeah, it was a weakness. The fact that everyone had the chance to ask one question, and many people didn't get the chance to ask a question at all, and there wasn't the opportunity for follow-ups to the questions, right? I, for example, had the opportunity to ask a question, which I'm very grateful for. But as soon as I heard his answer, I wished I had the chance to ask a follow-up. You know, and I don't know if we'll get to talk. Yes, in fact, I might as well just finish.
No, let's finish this. We'll come to you again.
Okay, so when we get to the substance, then I'll talk about, you know, the actual things that were said.
Right.
But in terms of the form, I'll say very good idea, good way of presenting the candidate. He played to his strengths. He was in his comfort zone. Downside, the questioning format is a bit limited. The time, 8 p.m. They should never do that again, right? The next day was a working day, and they had the press out there at 8 p.m. until 10. 11, thank you. No, they should never do that again. It was probably some scheduling problem on their part, but they should solve such problems for the future. Don't bring us out in the middle of the night to come and do anything, please. We have work to do in the morning. You see, and that way, you even miss all the publishing deadlines as well. So, no, it's not good strategy. It's not good form, and it's just inconveniencing everybody. That is something they should really look at for the next time. Right. That's it on the form.
Kwame.
Okay, so let me greet you and our viewers and to Political Prophet.
Did you bring your offering?
Political Prophet Kojo.
It's the offering we care about as treasurer of tithes, actually. As treasurer of the church.
And I think now we should be visiting you quite often.
Yes.
So that you can make manifestations into our lives. And good evening to you, Ivy. Yes, I was there. At some point, I was standing with my friend and brother Kojo. I didn't see Ivy. I saw Amma. You know, I did get an opportunity to ask a question, but I deferred to my other colleagues because I thought, you know.
You said your question had been asked already.
I thought they would be better placed to ask better questions. So yeah, but again, I think I'm on all fours with what Kojo has said, in respect of the description of the event and how it was organized. In terms of the look and feel, I think you've aptly described it. you've given us an experience. You yourself, you are what was it called? A decorator yourself, interior decorator. So obviously, when you see these things, you'll be able to tell. But I like the look and feel. I like the fact that this time around they gave journalists some level of respect. Okay, because in the past, one of the things that people always said about the NDC was that they were not media friendly, in terms of their engagements with the media. And so this one was well organized. And I like the fact that they really respected us and gave us, an opportunity to engage the president. He said that he had done this in the past. When he was in office, he was doing that. But when he became an opposition leader, I think that is the first time that he's really done that. My problem is that it should have been done much, much, much earlier. Especially because there are a lot of negatives which have been put out there, negatives which he himself sought to clarify on the day when he was given the opportunity, particularly in respect of corruption. And you know that corruption was one of the things that, the MPP heralded in 2016. And they used that as the basis to describe him as, as an incompetent character, etc. So he himself admitted that there are so many things which were put out which obviously were not true. So I think that in terms of the organization, it should have been done much earlier. I think this should have been perhaps the fourth or the fifth, encounter with the media. So going forward, I think they should do more in terms of their engagement with the media. And I'm happy. I saw almost every media house, except I don't know whether others decided to opt out, but I saw, and subsequently I saw some pictures, or rather some memes, of Kwame Sefakai and a few others. I don't know whether it's circulating around on social media. It's quite interesting, but I think that there's, in my view, there's nothing like bad press or there's nothing like an enemy media. Every media house, whether they support you or they don't, is important because they have a constituency that you may not necessarily have. So, for instance, if you think that Pan-African Television is allied to BBCPP, and so you will not come to Pan-African Television, we have, our own audience that you may appeal to, through our channel. So I think that, if they didn't invite some other media houses, next time when they are doing that, they should extend an invitation to everybody. It doesn't matter whether they think the person, is aligned to the NDC or they are aligned to the MPP or CPP or XYZ. Also, in terms of the program outline, I think it was really well structured, and it was quite snappy, except that because of the timing, and Mahama had in my view, very limited time to explain a lot of the things, because even if you look at the takeouts, which we are going to discuss, you have about 20 pointers that they've put together, and he may not have been able to clearly explain all the 20 pointers, even if he had the opportunity to, right? Because of the timing and things like that, because it was really, very late. And I also don't understand why it was organized on Sunday, to be honest. I mean, that Sunday, no matter what it is, I won't go out. Even me personally, Sundays, I would never go out. Even if you are giving me $1 million, I won't go out. Oh, except $1 million, I'll go out.
I was about to say,
Yeah, but on Sundays...
the price.
Listen.
But on Sundays, you would agree with Charlie, we are preparing for the next day, there's pressure. And also, yes, one thing that I think they should work on is the main entrance. When we're getting in, we face a little bottleneck.
We're asked to wait.
Yeah, we're asked to wait, and I don't know for what. So I think next time, because once somebody comes in with an invitation card, it means the person was invited. So when you see the invitation card, I don't know what it is that we're going to check again. So I think next time they should do that. They should, and I don't know whether they also had issues with the names that were written, because they had this paper that you needed to cross-check or whatever it is. But there was a little bit of confusion there.
The human element.
Yeah, the human element. So I think that they should also work on that. I am for the Ashes. I think they did a very good job.
Oh yes.
Very, very good job.
Yes.
Generally, there was that sense of community, between the journalist and the party. And for the first time, I was happy. Maybe we'd also have to, and Kojo made a very important, which is actually very significant, because when you're doing these things, I think that your focus should be about how you're going to put the message out. Okay, and so if you keep journalists there till 11 p.m., you don't expect the journalists to give you that attention that you need, because obviously you need front page, you need, super morning show, you need, and if you do it, a bit early, then Kojo and his team can put it together nicely and present it to the people the following day. But if you take us to like 11 p.m., 11:30, you get home, you're tired, programs are already planned and prepared, so your program will not really be the feature for the following day. And I think next time they should work on that.
Right.
And the MC was also good. Some of you did well. Except that maybe next time they should structure it well, so that, because the number of media houses that you've invited, at least give every media house the opportunity to ask even one question, so that you say that, okay, I invited IB from GH1. Okay, IB, you have one question. If you invited 2 people from GH1, the presumption is that maybe they can agree that, okay, IB will ask the question on behalf of the team, but at least give an opportunity to each and every media house to ask a question. So let's say you invited Pan-African Television, Kwame Usudanso is there, Pratt is there. At least give either Pratt or Kwame Usudanso the opportunity to ask a question on behalf of Pan-African Television. You invited Kojo Yankson of Joy, give an opportunity to Kojo Yankson. Now, my problem is that for some of the TV stations, it appears that they had the opportunity to ask multiple questions.
Like Joy.
Yes, and City. Okay. They got the opportunity to ask multiple questions.
Where all the personalities who came asked
because,
questions.
And that is why other media houses did not get opportunity to ask questions. Because you have someone like Bernard Avle.
Let's use Kojo. Kojo is here.
Yes. Kojo asked the question. Samson Ladia and asked a question.
Somebody else. Yeah, there was another third person from Joy.
From Joy. They all asked questions, right? 3 people from Joy. And I think that it's not good in terms of, the fact that you're also starving other media houses from asking questions. And similarly, City, I think Bernard Avle asked a question. Then Umar Sanda asked a question. The other person also asked a question. And I think even for Bernard Avle, he asked 2 questions. You get the point. And Umar Sanda also asked 2 questions. Our senior at the bar, Samson also asked, I think, about 2 or 3 questions. So when you do that, you are starving other people, and then perception is everything, right? That you are creating the impression that other media houses are bigger. Of course, we know that in terms of maybe the urban reach, right? You can, or cosmopolitan reach, or whatever it is, you can consider these stations. But when you are doing such encounters,
longevity, how long they've existed.
Exactly, yeah. But when you're doing such encounters, you are not just reaching to a particular niche. You are looking at the generality of the Ghanaian people. And look, the people who may watch Pan-African Television may not get opportunity to listen to Joy FM in the morning, but you would have them maybe watch Good Morning Africa on Pan-African Television. So yes, you can give prominence to Joy, but also give prominence to some other media houses, because then you would have a larger chunk of your people who may watch Pan-African Television. Like, look at the Thursday show, for instance, right? The Thursday show, by virtue of the fact that you've brought great minds, could be a very intelligent man, from Joy, myself, IB, Apia Dankwa. So you've brought people from Joy, you've brought people from, here, EIB, all sharing our minds, right? So, TV. But again, it's on Pan-African Television, right? So, you can have people in Accra tuning in to watch this program because of Kojo Yankson, or even because of me. But maybe somebody in Navrongo is seeing and hearing of Kojo Yankson for the first time, because the person only watches Pan-African Television, right? So that's essentially what I'm saying, that you have to give prominence to every media. You can say that, okay, for Joy, I'll give you 2 questions, but for Pan-African Television, based on whatever it is that you think, I'll give you just 1 question. An opportunity to ask 1 question. It's fine. But at least let everybody feel that they were well represented and they were given the opportunity to ask questions. I think that apart from that, I'm happy that everything was well organized and they conducted themselves well. People got the opportunity to get close to the former president. People got the opportunity to get close to the running mates. I think the executives were very freer and more relaxed. And they were very receptive. I think I should put it that way. Thank you very much, Emma.
Thank you, Kwame. Ivy.
Well,
So it was a good engagement. I think the NDC flag bearer needed that. It was on the back of what the running mate had done, Professor Nana Jenopukajiman, meeting a group of female journalists. And it was opened. It was not done in secrecy, and there were pictures all over. And I'm told that after the engagement, she made the effort to place a call to every single one of them. So on the back of Professor Nana Jenopukajiman's engagement, it was a good decision for Mahama to do same. The timing, I agree with the two, that the timing was horrible. We got stressed. I produced a morning show, so just imagine, you go home around midnight, and you have to wake up and come back to the office. Not just the reporters and then the journalists that were put through the stress. The party people themselves who were there. I remember Sam George was supposed to be on my show the following day in the morning. And it was a struggle for everybody. And so I'm sure lessons should be learned that never again should we be scheduling such an engagement first on a Sunday and at 8 p.m. The former president spoke, or the engagement lasted for more than 3 hours. That's quite long. And that was because they wanted to give everybody the opportunity to ask questions. But in the end, much more than half of the people who were in the room could not even ask questions in the first place. So these are the things that we think moving forward ought to change. Yes, I agree with Kojo that when it comes to communication and of the CAF communication, even when Mahama was the president, it was one of the high points we're all touching on whenever he had to deliver one address or the other. And that's why debate has never been an issue for him, because he has that memory and he's able to relate to cabinet, minutest of cabinet engagement publicly. So it came as no surprise at all that he was able to answer all the questions to the best of his ability. Yes, I agree that there should have been opportunities for follow-ups. So for instance, Sewa's question was never answered. Sewa asked a question about, and I'm saying Sewa because she was the one who represented us. We were about 5 there. She was the only one from EIB who got the opportunity to ask a question. And she has a question about past pronouncement of the president relative to the fact that President Akufo-Addo is packing the courts with MPP loyalists. So he was urging NDC legal brains to also position themselves properly, just so when the tables turn, a similar thing could be done. The president, the former president, then answered the question about the request from the Chief Justice for 5 more justices to be appointed to the Supreme Court, with her own choice of these 5. Yes, and I felt if the former president had not even answered that question would have come in the first place, because it's quite critical. It is at the heart of our governance system. It's the heart of the survival of our judiciary and the perception therein. So it's good he answered that, but he could have still, upon hindsight, because I felt that public commentary ought not to have been made. That NDC lawyers prepare when I come, because we are bashing President Akufo-Addo for doing that. It's bad. It's bad that you appoint people who have vowed to enter parliament on the ticket of your party to the Supreme Court. See, Professor Matukuba did some job. The system never allowed him to publish that work. And that work was about, he looked back to the 90s, all the political cases that had gone to the Supreme Court, and the judgments that were delivered, and the positions that were taken by the justices who were empaneled, and match that against who took them to the Supreme Court, or which president sent them to the Supreme Court. And he had come to the firm conclusion that whoever appoints you to the Supreme Court plays a part in the decision you arrive at when political cases specifically, come to the Supreme Court. He was never allowed to publish that book because they felt it was divisive and that it was going to throw the judiciary into jeopardy. No, it should have been a learning curve for all of us as a nation. So not to get into the substantive issue as you mentioned, because we will return to it. But look and feel was good. Just
You're already there, so please go ahead.
Yeah, just Muktari, yes. Sami Jemfi, yes. I also agree that many more people should have been given the opportunity to ask the questions. At the point I felt the invitations, I don't know whether it was circulated, but of course it didn't look as such, because you had to present an invitation before you were allowed in. Probably they over-invited people, because there was no way practically that everybody in the room was going to get the opportunity to ask a question, regardless of how snappy the answers were. The first batch of the 5 questions took a longer time for the former president to answer, because of course, and then his address, his main address, I think also took much of the time away.
They are going to engage the media.
Yeah.
Allow the media to ask you questions.
From the word go.
Respond to them from
Yes.
the very beginning.
Yes.
You don't give a speech that is so lengthy, which obviously,
It's his program. He wants
yes,
to set an agenda.
It is not
He wants to set the agenda.
It is not
So
a
ask me
media
questions
encounter.
from
It is
here.
Mahama's encounter with the media. It's not the media's encounter with Mahama. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Either
agree
ways.
with Kwame.
Yeah,
I agree with
no, it's not
Kwame.
either ways.
ways.
That it would have been far more. I mean, today it's not the things he said in his presentation that have
It's the
been
questions.
used. It's the answers he gave
The
to the
answers he gives,
questions.
yeah.
I mean, you want to meet the media because you want to answer their questions. That should have been the priority, and that should have taken up all the time. In fact, when he was president, that's how he used to do meet the press.
Yeah.
He would come up to the podium and say, "I have nothing to say. Ask me all your questions."
Yes.
And then the whole time would be spent asking him questions. That's what he used to do.
Yes.
I think he should have, reverted to that.
Yeah.
And one other advantage of this program, forgive me.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Quickly, one sentence. I think it gave John Mahama a certain edge over his political opponents, because President Akufo-Addo has cancelled Meet the Press since what,
Since after COVID, right?
2018.
Since COVID, yeah.
He's basically stopped meeting the press, and it is a visible absence in the governance structure that the president does not engage the media. So to see the opposition, the biggest opposition party flag bearer engaging the media, it gives a certain advantage to John Mahama, which is strategically a good move.
And he took advantage of that. He actually referenced what Kojo just said, that President Akufo-Addo has taken accountability from the media, because the only way you can be accountable for your governance is to take questions from the media and answer these questions, right? Once the media get the opportunity to probe the things you're doing as a president, it actually enhances the process of transparency and accountability. Yes. Aside that, I think, and in wrapping up, it's a good move. Now, it puts a little pressure on the sitting president to revive the dead Meet the Press. Yes, he might have to. If he doesn't, then I think the flag bearer of the party,
That's more like
the vice president,
That's
will
more
have
like it.
will have to
Yeah,
do that.
that's-
We'll have to do that.
Yeah.
Now, aside that, I also realized that there were journalists from the Ashanti region and some other parts of the country, and that's good. It should not always be about Accra, Accra, Accra. I also like the fact that journalists who ply their trade in a different language than English decided to ask their questions.
And he answered
yes,
them.
it's good. At least you are able to then reach their audience as well, because they transmit their work in that particular language. I think it should be regular, even though the party people will tell him that is not how you win votes. You go to the people, get your hands dirty. But a fine balance between the two, engaging people in this regard, the journalists, and going there to talk to the people directly, be it door to door and what have you, is equally helpful. It shouldn't be either or. You can do both. I think it's all in all, it was a good engagement.
Right.
But the timing, moving
timing.
forward, reporters and journalists, morning show hosts,
Right.
must never be taken through that.
Right.
But nothing. I think he was able to regulate in a way that we didn't have much praise singing. sometimes you can fashion it in a way that you only look out for the praise singers and they come and the preliminary comment about 2 minutes, showering praises and what have you, and the question is missing. I was thinking about DJ President too. I think he should learn summary. It's very important.
No, he didn't have any questions, so he shouldn't have stood up. He shouldn't have participated. And I actually said that to him. I went up to him after the event and I said, "Oh, Massa, but why? I mean, you are not on the program. Why did you write a speech?" And it was a written speech.
Yeah.
So why? What was that?
I went up to him and said, "DJ President, you took your moment." And we
laughed.
And we laughed.
Yeah. He didn't allow only one president in the room.
It was a full,
He wrote a
drawn out speech.
That's why. Why? When he was writing it, what was he thinking?
That he'll be given the opportunity.
Why should he be given the opportunity to give us?
Because he's the GJA president.
No, he does. Actually, when I'm doing my job, the GJA president doesn't do it for me.
That's true.
He doesn't do my job for me.
Yeah.
And I don't think that should be part of his mandate.
I think he found a way.
He spent a lot of time on phone.
No, I
guys.
think he found a way of asking a very important question, which has got to do with
safety of journalists.
Safety of journalists. But I think that the preamble was
not a question. He made a point, which of course is indeed within his office, the mandate of his office to seek the protection of journalists. No, he should. Anyway.
Yes. Okay.
Substance.
Hold on. So, I mean, in terms of substance, there are a few issues that have been, teased out that I want to. Then we can look at them. So, gender equality will be key to my government. Number one. I will reset Ghana and turn the tide. 24-hour economy is a solid base for import substitutes and will be an accelerator. Businesses will be incentivized to start processing locally. 24-hour economy will check unbridled imports. I'll personally chair Accelerated Export Development Program. I'll change structure of Ghanaian economy with active private sector growth. I'm committed to drastically reducing the size of government. I'll run a lean government of 60 ministers. My goal is to launch a new fight against corruption. In fact, he spoke about it starting from internal, from within, his administration before he even takes it out to those who have done corrupt practices. Establish agro-industrial zones in 16 regions, create opportunities for food security through establishing farmer services centers across the country, launch a program similar to Operation Feed Yourself. Everyone should have access to internet connectivity. The next NDC government will create 300,000 employment opportunities for young people in the digital area. Train 1 million coders. No Ghanaian will be left behind in the digital revolution. Goes on and on and on and on.
Okay, there's a lot there, and yes, he did manage to touch on a lot of interesting things. Some of them made their way into the news cycle because they were quite newsworthy, talking about a reset and the 24-hour economy. Just as you would expect, he speaks best for his own policy.
Right.
I have never heard anybody else bring as much clarity of thought to the 24-hour economy concept. In fact, many people have damaged it for the NDC by talking about it. Talking about exporting lions and all kinds of ridiculous nonsense. These people have caused damage to the NDC's desire to make this their flagship policy. They've talked such rubbish about it that it has become incoherent. So he did a good job of making it sound a bit clearer. Unfortunately, the side effect of the clarity he brought to the 24-hour economy policy is that he made someone like me realize that it's not a policy. It's not a policy. Do you know what it is? This 24-hour economy is an outcome. if you solve all our problems, the outcome is that our economy will run 24 hours. But it's not. You see, policy is what starts to solve a problem. Okay, you start to solve a problem with a policy. Then when you enact the policy well, the problem gets solved. Okay, but a 24-hour economy is not the start. It's an outcome. So something else has to start for you to get that outcome. This is what I realized listening to the former president on Sunday. That it can't it's not a policy. In fact, what he's really saying is that I will solve our problems. And as a result, we'll have a 24-hour economy. So I will improve security. I will cut taxes. I will substitute imports. I will encourage local production. So yeah, it's the same old problems that we haven't solved as a nation. He is saying, I'll solve them. The result is that our economy will run 24 hours. Because you can't enact a policy that makes people start running their business 24 hours. So I'll give you an example. I had this conversation with another NDC, communicator who did a bad job of explaining the policy. I wanted clarity from him, so I asked him, okay, Shell filling station at airport operates 24/7. 500 meters away from the Shell filling station at airport is another Shell filling station next to what used to be Golden Tulip, Lancaster Hotel. It does not operate 24 hours. They are 500 meters apart. So when if John Mahama becomes president, what is it that he will do at Jubilee House that will make that Shell filling station also operate 24 hours? There was no answer. So that's how I was able to demonstrate to him that the policy can't be the 24-hour economy. The outcome is the 24-hour economy. But maybe it is an effective communication tool. It's a slogan to encompass the idea that he wants to come and solve all these problems. So he encapsulates it by naming it after the result. But when you say it's a policy, it doesn't work.
Okay, so I've also engaged, and in terms of it being a policy, my understanding is that we are going to stimulate such that there's enough demand to enable a 24-hour. I don't know if that makes any sense. So yes. it's that demand that then creates the need for because like you rightly say, if there's no demand for a 24-hour service for station, there's no point for it. So my understanding of it being a policy is from the point of the demand.
Okay, so let's come back to the two Shell examples. So what will happen in the president's office that will stimulate demand for that other Shell to stay open 24 hours?
If let's say the government sector is made to operate 24 hours and people are going to work at night, there'll be the need for a fuel station to be running in the night.
The government sector is a start, but it's not the end. And what are they coming to do at night? Okay, is it that the day is not enough?
Do we think the day is enough
to be done?
Do we think that, look at the backlog that we have. Let's take any government agency, DVLA, a passport office. Do you think that what we are doing now is enough?
Government office where there are queues, people needing service, and there are government employees doing nothing. Going to any government office where there's a queue of people requiring service, you will also find employees doing nothing. You will never find that in a private business. You will never find that when you go into your bank. As the queue grows, the number of cashiers increases. Not in government. In government, the queue will grow. I will still work my lotto under the tree. So you see, it is not about giving them extra hours. It's about improving their efficiency. Now, if you haven't solved that problem, and you add another 12 hours, You are just giving them more time to be inefficient. You see, so honestly, it's an outcome. When you solve all the problems, you get a 24-hour economy. But you can't come and legislate it. But anyway, maybe it's just for the purpose of communication. Someone came and said, one district, one factory. It sounded nice and simple. And 8 years in, they haven't built one government factory. Not one. So maybe it's just a communication thing. We are used to it. Politicians will come and just make the thing sound nice so we can all repeat it. And then for years, we wait for the physical evidence.
Right.
And it never
but the good thing is that now we have the opportunity to ask the how. We are having engagements that enable us, be able to ask directly how.
Shall I finish on the
Please,
on the
go ahead.
substance?
Go
Okay.
ahead.
The only other, because there's a lot there.
Yeah.
The only other thing I'll talk about is the question I asked about the Galamsey. So he said
Amnesty thing.
yes, that he would give amnesty to repentant Galamseyers. So I asked him if he sticks by that. I mean, I didn't go into. I just asked directly if he sticks by that, and he answered directly. He said yes. When he comes, he will grant amnesty to repentant Galamseyers, because his goal is to capture the kingpins,
Right.
the money people, the ones who are behind the small fry. Okay, because we have what's it called? We have what's the word I'm looking for? We've successfully prosecuted a lot of small fry. Very few kingpins, maybe Aisha Huang, a couple. Very few kingpins, mainly small fry. So he says, I'm interested in the kingpins, so I'm going to give amnesty to the small fry. I wish I had a follow-up, because it didn't make sense to me. By all means, go after the kingpins. But why do you have to release the small fry in order to get the kingpins? Why must you let go people who have been convicted under laws that exist? It's not like when they were caught, then the Attorney General made up a law to convict them. No. They were convicted under laws that were either in the Constitution, put together by an NDC administration, or laws that were created in Parliament with the participation of the NDC.
Right.
So these laws exist. These people were convicted for offenses that exist in our law books. You say because you want the kingpins, you're coming to release the small fry. How? In any case, in other parts of the world, before you will commute someone's sentence for because you want a bigger fish, the person must actually be instrumental in you getting the bigger fish.
Right.
He must give you some evidence, something. Then in exchange, you can commute his sentence, make it shorter or whatever. You don't come and give him amnesty, send him home, and then now you are coming to look for kingpins. So I honestly, I still don't understand why an amnesty is part of the strategy. He should tell us that he wants the kingpins. We will all support him on that. But this idea that you release these ones, it's vote buying.
Right.
You just want to impress them and their community so they will vote for you.
Right.
I was not impressed by that.
Right. And I hate to do this to you, gents, but I just checked the time. We have very limited time. We haven't even scratched, the MPP's event. So please, I beg you. Hi, Laura. It's great to have you here. So please, I beg you. Brief. Kojo took all the time,
I'm so sorry.
So brief, and then we come to Napo. In terms of the substance of the Mahama engagement. Yes, please, Kwame.
I think that the 24-hour economy, which actually is the message that is being trumpeted, is to some extent a very good heralding message, and I think it's been well explained by John Dramani Mahama. And he sought to draw the interlinkages and things like that from all the different sectors of the economy and how they were all, working, ensuring that the 24-hour economic policy will be realized. I think I understand Kojo's disagreement in relation to whether it is the effect of a proper execution of different policies or it is the policy in itself. I think they should relook at it. But again, I think the explanation given by Kojo makes a lot of sense to me, because you have to let the other sectors work effectively before you can achieve that, because ultimately the idea is to ensure that we have some sound economic footing arising out of the effective execution of the 24-hour economy, right? So it is not an isolated policy. It is a policy that must be looked at from different perspectives, right? Looking at the different sectors that we have. So I'll leave that there. But again, he tried to look at some of the very key sectors of the economy. He spoke about the economy in itself, and he spoke about free SHS, he spoke about health, women, and things like that. For me, the question that I wanted to ask was that because of how distressed the economy is, and I think that it is agreeable on this platform that we are in so much debt distress to the point where it is going to be practically difficult for whichever government, that takes over from Akufo-Addo to immediately resuscitate the economy. I think the economy is in emergency room, right? And so you have to take bold decisions. So the question is, what bold decisions would he be taking to ensure that the economy is resuscitated? Is he going to tax the people more? And of course, he sought to explain that he's going to do away with some nuisance taxes and things like that. But where we are now, in this critical economic quagmire in which we find ourselves, from where I sit, I think that he should be more open to and with the Ghanaian people, because it is not possible. It is not possible that he is going to cut down on taxes, because he cannot survive if he does that. He cannot, and that's the truth. The reality is that right now, where we are debt distressed. So if you say that you are going to do away with nuisance taxes and etc., it's good. I think immediately the Ghanaian people will jump at it, they will be excited and things like that. But the reality is that if you do that, you will not be able to cushion your economy well, right? He talks about fiscal discipline, that they are going to be fiscally disciplined. It's one of the things that I really liked about the Akufo-Addo administration. Now, I said to an example, I think when they took over in 2017, Kenneth Furata, when he was before the Public Accounts Appointments Committee, right, was very eloquent, emphatic, and straightforward. That one of the things that he found troubling with the previous administration was its inability to be disciplined in terms of fiscal, right? Which is to say how we spend. So we spend more even though we generate very little, right? So, I mean, and when he said that, I was very, very happy, because then if you have realized that the economic situation in which we find ourselves is as a result of our inability to be disciplined in terms of our expenditure, and, because we've been able to identify that you're going to help solve our problems, then it's good for all of us, right?
So
then
the same.
The same.
But the doing.
Exactly. So that's one aspect.
We're happy with the same of it.
Absolutely.
Right.
But then again, I mean, if that is what they were involved in, then the question then becomes, how are they going to ensure that they do not go back? Because governance is different. When you are in power, especially when you're in power, then you are faced with the realities, right? Now, of course, you're in a position, you are not privy to the coffers of the state. So when you get in, like for instance, what former President Kufuor said, say, my people, forgive me, I didn't know. Now I know. When you get in, that is when you are faced or confronted with the real issues on the ground. For now, you can only conjecture because you don't have the full facts. So I think that they should manage expectations. You should not create the impression that it's going to be, a walk in the park, all milky, all rosy, kind of economic turnaround and things like that you intend to introduce, right? So they should be very wary of that. Also, they made mention of free senior high school, and I'll end on that. I mean, there's this tussle between who brought free senior high school and who didn't bring free. I don't care about who introduced what, right? What I care about is, has the policy been successful? Do we have a sustainability plan? Because oftentimes, the problem that I find with most of the policies is not the ideation or the hatching or even the execution of it. It's about our ability to sustain it. That is the problem. So when you are introducing a policy, how much is the policy going to cost should be, a fundamental aspect of the designing of the policy, right? So when you say that free SHS, you're going to spend maybe $200 million. Then the next question is, where do I get the $200 million from? Do I need to cut from here and cut from here so that I can So when I cut from here, what is the effect of it? When I cut, so those things are things that I think we must look at. We must look at, because who brought it or who didn't bring it. Ultimately, if the Ghanaian people are benefiting from it, I think that is what matters. It's not about who introduced it or who introduced what. Finally, the introduction, or rather the attempt to want to introduce Women's Bank for the purposes of advancing women business, I think is a step in the right direction. But I also think that it is not enough that we continuously listen to the theorization of it. So sometimes, and again, that is the issue that I had with Mr. Alan's beautiful concept, right? That sometimes it's not enough that you share the ideas with that. I think that everybody may be able to create ideas and may be able to think out of the box, because obviously we all feel it and we know what we need, right? But what we need is not enough. It's about how we can execute or implement what we need that matters.
Right.
So going forward, I think that whenever they are given, or he's given the opportunity to do a better explanation of the ideas which the MDC has, for the purposes of execution, they should tell us how they intend to do X, Y, Z. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, so
absolutely.
Yes, I'll start from the 24-hour economy,
Briefly,
because it's been the major.
I thought you leave that and go to another
issue. Yes, because I was there and he explained, and
right.
I've heard him explain. So it's a targeted policy. I'm not sure, or what he said that day was that from health to agriculture to industry to whatever, all the sectors are going to work 24 hours. No. So it's on demand basis. So let's look at manufacturing. If factories are given incentives, as he said, you pay, say, half of the bills you pay for electricity if you work during the night, and you produce more, what happens? Those products that we import into the country will then be substituted. The fuel station that works 24/7 will obviously serve the vehicles and the industries that will need the fuel at the night. If that one fuel station that operates 24/7 is not enough, the next fuel station that's 5 meters away will also start operating. So yes, I understand the argument about whether it's an effect or it's a cause. I think it's a cause from my end, listening to what the former president said, because there's a deliberate effort to say that industries, you have these incentives. In response to these incentives, I want you to increase production. What are you going to produce? You are going to produce things that are imported, just so we substitute and then save our city. Because when you're importing, we're importing with foreign currency, of course, the dollar. Now, aside that, and understand, today as we speak, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the MPP's flag bearer, has once again questioned as to whether the one who originated the policy of the 24-hour economy in Ghana understands the policy itself. But that's politics. That's politics. The point I'm making is that if, for instance, we are able to get the major political parties, NDC and MPP, to all say, just as they have said they will do away with e-levy, what that means is that, regardless of who wins December 7 election, come next year, we will not be paying e-levy.
Great, wonderful news.
That's the point. We should get there where the 24-hour economy, which I think works in certain jurisdictions, so the UK, the US, and the other places that these policies are implemented. Are we saying there is no dividends to it? If there is, what can we do? What sectors can we focus on to ensure that it works, regardless of which party wins? That is what I'm looking at. Because a nation that sleeps throughout the night is bound to be poor. It's basic and it's understandable. When you go to the Arab world, they actually sleep during the day because you know why? The weather makes it difficult for you to work in the open during the day. So they are all nocturnal beings. Go to the Gulf regions. They work at night. And so it is workable per the explanations that have been given. Yes, I understand. For the sake of politics, for the politicians, they can play politics with it. They can decide to rubbish it as it's been done. I'm sure you've heard some MPP people tell you that if you put A, B, C, D together, so you have stable power supply, you have recruited this number of police personnel, and you've deployed them, you can actually do. But the argument is that do that before. It's the same free access argument. Which one comes first? You start the policy, put in the infrastructure, or wait, put in the infrastructure and start the policies. What did MPP opt for? They opted for starting the policy and subsequently putting in place the infrastructure. That's it. So on free access, listening to the former president explain, this is what I think. I think it is a course that will give you the effect. The course is the policy. It's a conscious effort. And then the effect will be the growth of the economy. It will be job creation. And the second filling station that has been lying fallow during the night, coming alive if the demand is there. Now, let's go back to just one. That one was not on your pointer. We talked about the fact that nobody under his administration will be allowed to buy anything that belongs to the state. And I would have wished that again, or everybody else adopts this. Because we might end up selling everything that belongs to the state to ourselves. And when I say ourselves, I'm talking about the politicians. So it's a good thing. State land should be there for the state. State company for the state. The salon car you are given to use, when you are going, leave it there. Another person who occupies your portfolio will use it. When there's a need for it to be auctioned, then it's open to everybody to come and buy. I think we should get to that point where everybody buys into this. Selling of the state asset is enough. We don't have much to even sell now in the first place.
I think the person who grabs a lot from this encounter of all of us was IBU. Like,
he is the one you agree with.
That is not what I'm. He kept saying that from listening, I took this. From listening, I took that. That's what he kept saying. Oh, Mikojo, please come in.
So let me viewers, good evening. And let me ask my brother Kojo why he's not in Kasok today. I was expecting to see some Kasok with some big cross and his announcement that I'm the financial controller of that church.
No, please, you are late. I'm already taking that position.
There's a coup d'etat is coming. Anyway, so a good evening to you all. I think I won't talk about the 24-hour economy, and I won't speak about it because you yourself said you set a day where we will come.
Yes.
Take the manifestos.
Yes. We'll give ourselves like 2 hours to do this. Yeah.
That's one thing I want to say. Yeah, that's one thing. I think I heard him say that he won't be a father for all.
Yes.
Yeah, and yes. I think that was really disappointing. And for me, it was. I must say that I can't do the job because when you take his terms of reference, and I like making reference to the job we are giving him, and you can find that term of reference in the oath that he takes. You know, when you're president, you take an oath. You swear to 2 things. The first part has 3 things. The first thing is you swear to be faithful to Ghana. The second thing is you swear to defend, protect, and preserve the constitution of Ghana. The third bit is to dedicate yourself to the well-being of every single Ghanaian and to be fair to all manner of people, to all Ghanaians. Yeah, you understand? So, and for me, I know that the counter-argument will be that when he said he won't be a father to all, he meant in terms of prosecution. But we know that the Constitution has given the power to prosecute to somebody, to the Attorney General. When you are president, and even the Attorney General, in that job that he's doing, he's supposed to be fair and candid to all Ghanaians. You understand? So when the president tells you that I cannot fulfill...
He said, I have been cured. I want us to be... He said, I have been cured of, this syndrome of mine where I'm consistently being a father for all to the detriment of my own party. I've been cured.
And that's one of the biggest problems we have. And I think I've said so many times on this platform that, you see, one of my biggest problems with Nanado and with a lot of the leaders in this country, they don't recognize that, yes, it may be your party that sponsored you, but we don't give executive powers to the political parties. We grant to you, the individual, that executive power, and we grant it to you with a clear terms of reference. That terms of reference is clear. There's no ambiguity in it. That you are going to dedicate yourself. So it's not about, oh, I'll be fair. We say dedicate yourself. So when you tell me that you can't be a father you are telling me that you cannot dedicate yourself. You understand? To the well-being of every single Ghanaian. That includes the MPP. That includes the NADO. That includes the members of the party that are filled with familiar spirit. You understand? That responsibility is on you to even take steps to exercise that spirit. That is the call on you. So for you to tell us that you cannot be fired for all, you understand? Because that opens that you are going to be fair to your friends and to your enemies. That means that you are going to be president to the NDC people and also to the MPP people. That means you are going to be president to me and the Penankwa, irrespective of the fact that I've criticized you. That's the call on you. That's the burden on you. And the burden also includes a responsibility on you to be fair. So if you go and stand, if I say that in fact you had a certain character and that you are going to kill yourself of that character, come on, President Mahama. Because I've said it all the time, I'll say it again. In my view, President Mahama is a better president than President Nanado. In my view, he's going to be a better president than Baumia. In my view, I feel that Alan will be a better president than Mahama. Yeah, you understand? We all have our opinions. But when you are president, you should not treat anybody differently because of the opinions they may hold, which may differ from your opinion. So I beg him. He has, I think, 3 or 4 months. He should go and re-cure himself. He should go and re-cure himself. You understand? Because Mama had his issues in his first term. He had his own issues. But I don't think one of the issues Mama had was being a bad person. Yeah, I don't think. And so if he wants to come back, then he should not cure himself of the things that were his strongest points. He shouldn't cure himself of the things that were his strongest points. Rather, he should cure himself of the things that probably were his weakness. We can't afford to have again a president like Nanado.
I agree with you. You know why? Because I think that concept of father for all is born out of, in his estimation and the estimation of the parties, his inability to prosecute opposition leaders who were alleged to have been involved in some corrupt practices, right? That is what is. But again, I agree with Apia Dankwa, because in that speech, in his response to one of the questions which were asked, he spoke directly to the issue of corruption, and he indicated that he was not going to condone corruption, whether internally or externally, and that he was not going to scrap the office of the special prosecution. So that would have cured that concept of the father for all, even if he had not come out to state that position.
Right.
So I agree.
Context was very important.
All right.
There's an element that's missing in this conversation, and that is the late President Mills. The questioner related to father for all concept of the late President Mills, and John Mahama served under him. And we all know, when we talk about father for all for the late President Mills, which got him trouble with Jerry John Rawlings, it's about what the party believed. Investigations had been done, dockets were ready, and he said no prosecution. Speak to anybody in NDC, they will tell you this. It is on the back of that the journalists ask, are you going to be the same as the late President Mills?
No.
And,
He said that
yes,
President Mills was like that.
Yeah.
And then that had an effect on him when he took over.
Yes, I get you.
So he said that this time, yes,
same thing, yes. And so I'll no longer be father for to the extent that I won't overlook wrongdoing and say no prosecution.
Right.
That context is important.
In fact, that's even dangerous.
Right. Okay,
So
gentlemen.
That's dangerous because the Constitution clearly places the power to prosecute, not in the president.
Right.
There isn't a point that Attorney General.
No, but
President appoints that
there's a reason. There's a reason why.
You won't tell me that the Attorney General doesn't consult the president.
No, you shouldn't.
Really? Governor Dami will not sit down and say, I'm going to prosecute the forces. I'm going to prosecute the forces.
No, what you're saying,
Mr. President.
That's not what the law says.
But that's not what the law says. The Constitution is clear. The Constitution is beyond all that. We are talking about the new Ghana, that better Ghana.
Yeah.
That better Ghana that will go according to the principles in the Constitution.
Right.
Because no other ministerial appointment has been made has been provided for, but the Attorney General.
Who grandfathers? Who grandfathers? Who grandfathers?
Right.
Who grandfathers? Who grandfathers in this country?
Lawyer scared. Let's appreciate, and I understand everything, and I appreciate what you're saying, lawyers. But for me also, this question in particular also has a lot of political nuances. We can never overlook that. The fact that yes, he was speaking to the media. Yes, he's speaking to the letter in the space of the Constitution, but he's also speaking to the grassroots of his political party. Let's appreciate that in that context. Let's appreciate that sometimes, perhaps, context is not a rally. You are meeting the media. So maybe what you would have said on a political platform would not, what's the word, suffice. Here, let's appreciate that and keep it along. I want us to move along nicely. Let's come to Napo. Let's come to Napo. Let's start from Kodeya Anson's prediction that he is one comment away, someday in some future, from doing the boom, the proverbial Jerry Rollins boom. But alas, that one day came too soon. It came on his, outdooring. The day he was being named, his first outing to the people of Ghana, first one, day one on the job, actually, is the day he boomed by saying, "Your Kwame Nkrumah." In all of this, I want to read this out. There's something that I read on Facebook. What's it called? Criticism, and all of that I have, followed since he said that has been very interesting for me. I'm an avowed Nkrumahist. I don't joke with my Nkrumah. So even as I listen to him say that, I promise you, the anger that just erupted from my belly, I was just like, what? Right? But that's me. On Facebook, it was crazier. And for me, I'm reading something that somebody put on Facebook. The person said, alienating neutrals by touching their sacred cow, a foundation course in screw-ups. And then, somebody went and said something that I myself share, an opinion that non falong, this is an opinion that I myself, shared. I was like, she said, I was just explaining this to some friends. Like, insult JDM. Let only the NDC members be angry. Man, them went for every logical Ghanaian. I say every sane African. Man, them. He just went for every sane African. He's like, let me look around. Who can I insult that will make more people angry? More. Then it's like, okay, let me go for that one. Kwame Nkrumah. My goodness, could you vindicated much?
Oh, what a week! What a week it's been. And it's not even over.
Have you been consulting? So more professors I want to know. He says come and say the financial controller. She's the treasurer. You are the treasurer of the financial controller. There's a story of a man who bought a lottery ticket. Then as soon as he came and started, back home, and said, I bought a lottery ticket, and his wife asked him, so what will you buy if you win? He says, I'll buy a car. Then the wife says, I'll sit in front. Then the first one said, no, I'll sit in front. Then they start arguing. It's not even bought the car. I don't want the thing to buy the car. You people want post in my church. But the lottery set. Anyway, I mean, it's so interesting that you started by reading some of the comments on social media, because I was also, in fact, so I missed the actual event. Yeah, I fell asleep. I was waiting. I think I caught the beginning when they went to Otumfuo and the advice that was given. And then I missed the actual event, fell asleep. Next morning, my phone was buzzing, all kinds of messages. So it was then that I went back to watch it, and then read a lot of what's on social media. The funniest comment was on X, where somebody posted, they said, driver's mate go high loading boy. First day on the job, loading boy go insult station master. I can't get that image out of my head.
Anyway, I mean, jokes aside, I am personally a little bit sad.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you talk about vindication and all that. I am a bit sad because I wish Napo had put a little bit of effort into proving me wrong. Just a little. I mean, give it a couple of months or something, you know. But first day on the job, Napocalypse. How? I mean, one man from man fado. Like first. And you see, there's so many aspects of how it happened that just you first of all, the NPP, it was a master stroke for them to make the decision of outdooring him in Kumasi and first taking him to Santehene. That was strategically intelligent. And we all thought it was going to be Baumia who takes him and presents him. This is my
Right.
Did the introduction. All these things were very important little details, which in the end, if the thing had gone according to plan, that's what we would have been talking about by now. We would have been talking about Otumfuo's obvious connection to this running mate, Otumfuo's belief in this running mate's abilities, Otumfuo's personal investment in the growth and development of this guy. We would all suddenly start wondering whether there are hidden depths that we haven't had the privilege of seeing in this Napo man. That's what we would have been talking about today. So their planning and delivery was very strategic and intelligent. Then your man stood up and blew it all apart in a matter of minutes. I don't know if you guys noticed. When the president spoke first, right? While he was speaking, Dr. Baumia and Napo were both sitting, but looking at him, cheering, laughing whenever he said something that was funny and all of that, going along with the crowd. When Dr. Baumia was speaking, the president and Napo were both looking at him, cheering and so forth, engaged in what Dr. Baumia was saying. When Napo stood up, even before Napocalypse, Dr. Baumia was busily reading the program, event program. I don't know what wonderful information was there that he had to peruse with such concentration. But he had his glasses up on his forehead and he was busily reading the table of contents or whatever the program. You could tell that he needed to be disengaged. He wanted whatever was happening to end as quickly as possible so life could go on. This was the level of discomfiture that he had in his own running mate. And well, he wasn't allowed to get away unscathed because the man came with, he came as Napo. Of all the preposterous things to say, of all the ridiculous things to remove from the attention that you want to generate with your event, unless it was all supposed to be a waste of everyone's time. I'm sure they wanted some attention. They wanted to garner their base, right? They wanted to galvanize the grassroots. So what happened to that? Because nobody is talking about that. We are all talking about that's what we are all talking about. Napo has basically thrown a hand grenade into their campaign. And it took him only a few minutes. A few minutes after he had just been advised by Otumfuo that, look, they keep saying you are arrogant. Don't let it be true. And after sitting and nodding to that, he then went and let it be true. After he was told that follow your flag bearer, whatever he asks you to do, do it. Serve him. Don't make him regret choosing you. Within minutes, you made everybody regret.
Time.
I know there isn't time, so let me wrap it
time
up.
is that.
Okay, let me wrap it up. Even if you don't want to, because I've noticed that the MPP,
I'm
communicators.
to read it out. They say that the response has come, but I'll let Kwame deal with that.
Sure. So they want us to focus on the substance. They want us to ignore the hand grenade and talk about the substance. Even if you want us to talk about the substance of a claim that Akufo-Addo was a better president than Kwame Nkrumah, I mean, I don't even know why that is a discussion topic that they want Ghanaians to engage in. It's like Obi Nim claiming that he's better than Jesus Christ. I mean, what are you talking about? Kwame Nkrumah. The three university, in fact, you can call it four, because the fourth one is now what is the South Campus of University of Development, University of Education, Widima. The four universities that Kwame Nkrumah built are still the biggest universities in this country, in spite of God knows how many other heads of state we have had. The hospitals that Kwame Nkrumah built are still the biggest hospitals in this country, in spite of God knows how many heads of state we have had, including your revered Akufo-Addo. The power Akosombo Dam, over 1,000 megawatts. Akufo-Addo, you've added 75 megawatts to the national grid. Someone added 1,000, and your energy minister says you are better than him.
How many decades after? With more technology, with more, resources.
75.
I mean,
75 megawatts. And you say you are better. You say he's better. You see, I told you he doesn't have a calculator. Napo doesn't have a calculator because it's not Baumia who said this.
Okay.
How do you make this comparison and expect us to all come and debate it?
Time.
Prophet.
Yes, madam.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Actually, I'll leave that for Ivy to do the rebuttal. Ivy will deal with the rebuttal.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So they say that in the inner sanctum of the chief's palace, you are either raised to become a leader or to suffer fools. So much of a kingly advice. So, because, I mean, the Otumfuo said, I raised him, I advised him, I groomed him. What a wonderful grooming. So, it's either you are raised to become a leader or you suffer fools. I don't want to go into the argument about whether or not Nana Akufo-Addo is better than Nkrumah. I think that argument has been overstretched. Do you understand? I think that
needless, pointless.
It is actually going to. It is. I will be doing a great disservice to the memory of Osadifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. I will be doing a great disservice to him if I try to compare the achievements of Nkrumah but what I want to talk about is the disrespect to the memory and the name of Osadifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. And for me, that Tuesday, the 9th of July, 8 days after the 1st of July, when Ghana attained a Republican state, a minister Napo, who is a minister in this free Republican state, fought for and gained by Osadifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, stands on a podium in the Ashanti region, a park called Jubilee Park, to say that Nana Akufo-Addo is better than that your Nkrumah. Even that your Nkrumah. That tells you his keenly, advice, the killing advice that he got. It tells you how he was raised in the inner sanctum of the palace. Because, Ama, under no circumstance, imagine if I said such things about Tutumfo. Just imagine that if I said such things about Tutumfo, do you know what would have happened? Do you know the people who would have descended on me? Yes, somehow, somebody freely, openly, without the benefit of history, without intellect, without understanding the foundational blocks upon which this country was built, okay, to disrespect Nkrumah. Freely, disrespect freely. And yet somehow everybody is happy. Even Akufo-Addo himself. Have you ever heard Akufo-Addo say that he's better than Nkrumah before? Have you?
He's had nothing but praise for Nkrumah.
Akufo-Addo himself has never openly said that he is better than Nkrumah. It is the people who are around him, those ignorant people who are suffering fools, who are the ones people who have their scalp dunk in their heads, who are the ones saying these things about Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Politically, economically, and in everything, you cannot compare anybody at all to Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. You cannot. You have been given an opportunity, and look, what could you said? How could you describe the event? It's exactly what it was. That you have been given an opportunity to redeem your image, the public perception about who you are. And the reason why people fought against your selection as the running mate to Bawumia, you have been given the opportunity to come and redeem yourself. Even if you are the most useless human being on earth, even if you are so foolish that you have no brains left in your head, at least seize that opportunity to create an impression about yourself. Even if you are the most useless human being, even if you have very little. I wanted to say something that Ipla said, but I will say it. Even if your brain is very small, seize the opportunity to prove people wrong. That I can be better. That I'm not the Napo that you people think that I am. And do you know what surprises me? After all that happened, and all the criticisms emanating from that, Napo still went ahead and justified the foolishness.
For us politicians,
he justified the foolishness.
We do our politics every 4 years. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, you have supported him to do what he can do in Ghana. Even when I said it, they have taken it wrongly. I say, ever since independence, from 1957, from Kwame Nkrumah till today, no government has worked harder than Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. But the politics we do, when you speak the truth, they say you are disrespectful. When you lie, then you are praised. I am your child. I am your grandson. You did not raise me with lies. But clearly you were raised with lies because we all heard you. This is his reaction. But I mean, unless we are being asked to go back into history and hear what we heard.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That even in his attempt to explain away why he made those silly comments, he's still making a bigger fool out of himself. Because you cannot distort facts and expect nothing to happen. And look, and every time I say this, that when you look at the MPP and the NDC, for now they are the two biggest political parties we have in this country. They all have their following. You win elections not because all of your people voted for you, but because other neutrals voted for you. In this country, most of the people who are in the middle are people who hold Nkrumah so dear to their hearts. It's like a national hero. In fact, even within his own MPP, there are people who may not necessarily like all the things that Nkrumah may have done. I mean, of course, we are all human beings. We may have made some mistakes, etc. But even in his own party, did you see the face of Stephen Nti? Did you see his face? Clearly in disagreement with the things which were said by Napo. You may be in praise of Akufo. You may say all the things so say it and go, but don't be foolish in doing that. It's wrong. And you see, for me, there are young people who are watching. There are young people who are watching. There are young people who are looking at these politicians. There are young people who are learning from these politicians. Don't create the impression that your distortion of facts represents the truth. Because your distortion of facts do not represent the truth. When you do that, it makes you, I don't know how to describe. In fact,
it's okay.
If you don't
It's okay.
dishonest.
It's
Dishonest.
okay. It's okay.
Dishonest.
Right.
Well,
Ivy.
you said
Ivy.
a wrecking ball, eh? Yes. Yes. So, okay, so here's the thing. First, I think the platform played a role.
I agree.
What happened to Napo?
100% agree with you.
Well,
agree.
yes, the platform played a very huge
Problematic.
role.
Look and feel. I deliberately didn't do look and feel because I didn't have anything nice to say. When you have nothing nice to say, you keep quiet.
Exactly. As mentioned, Napo didn't speak. Did anything go wrong there? You might have issues. You might have issues.
It's not a platform. It's the mouth.
You might have issues with what Otunfuo. Some people have issues with what Otunfuo said, and the extent to which he went, right? Because of course Napo is a son, and he indicated that to everybody. He expressed his appreciation to people like Chairman Wontumi for the role they played in Napo being tabbed as Bawumia's running mate, and nuggets of advice he gave to the son. Now I'm informed that Napo had prepared speech. He had speaking points. He didn't use them. If he had used them, I'm not sure would have been here. So he got carried out.
The platform.
Because here was Napo speaking after President Akufo-Addo. Here's Napo speaking after President Akufo-Addo, speaking after his boss, immediate boss, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, speaking even after Kennedy Japan. And by the way, many people have not paid attention to Kennedy Japan's speech. That was the political statement that the party needed, what Kennedy Japan said. Pomposity and lording over the party people. Right. Now, here is also the reason why I think Napo went overboard. Yes. Are
we putting it mildly?
Yeah.
Are we using optimism here?
Yeah, he didn't just give over. He actually somersaulted, right? See, the president had said no to the choice of Napo, and that was what delayed the naming of Napo as a running mate. He had said no. He had his own reasons, right? Napo then sought to praise the president. Besides, the president appointed him as a cabinet minister straight away, without serving under anybody as a deputy minister. One of the very few to move from parliament straight to a cabinet ministerial portfolio, from one, education, to energy. So he needs to show appreciation to the president.
Sensitive sectors.
That's it. So he was allowed to say everything that he said, but a few. Did you realize that after he had mentioned Nkrumah, he was going ahead to mention another person?
Okay.
That it means that he himself realized that there are gray areas he shouldn't go.
So who else was he going to mention?
Only God knows.
He said K.
Only God knows. Because he didn't mention. Only God knows. Right. So see, there are many who have said that if he had said Akufo-Addo is the best president we've ever had, that wouldn't have been an issue. Politically, that would have been an issue. You have no idea how the MPP reveres John Ajigum Kufuor. They hold him in a very high esteem, and the fact that this is Kumasi. But the reason why I think that the collateral damage, the political collateral damage, might not be that much is this: Napo's choice is for one region and one region alone,
But
Ashanti, and the party has a strategy. The strategy might work, it might backfire. The party's strategy is to whip up the interest in Ashanti region, get the numbers out. You heard Napo say they are looking at 85%. Even Kufuor, who was the torch bearer for the party, did not get that from his region. So that's ambitious. And so, yeah, we might sit here and be
Do you think the strategy would work? This strategy is also rubbishing Kufuor's legacy.
Well, that's the point I'm making,
Would it
that
work?
it could
Do you think
backfire.
that people of Ashanti want to hear Kufuor's legacy
Napo could have done without
denigrated like
decency.
this?
Yes, he could have done without these excesses. That's the fact. But the point I'm making is that Napo's campaign will be centered in the Ashanti region. The strategy is get out the numbers. Anytime the NDC is able to do 27% in the Ashanti region, MPP is in trouble. As at the last election, MPP, Akufo-Addo did 72%. And that was enough in nominal terms to offset the vote from the Volta region, the upper regions, and even Greater Accra. Mind you, in the 2020 elections, Greater Accra voted for the NDC, both parliamentary and presidential. It's the central region, Kojo's people, who went parliamentary for NDC and then presidential for the MPP. And of course, I've said this time with that number, that is because of free SHS. The MPP managed to sell the message that a Mahama administration will cancel free SHS, and to the people of the central region, that was quite critical. Now, back to the numbers. In 2020, Akufo-Addo actually lost more than 3% of his 2016 votes in the Ashanti region. Mahama gained more than 3%. If this trajectory is anything to go by, then you can understand why NPP thinks that if they deploy Napo as a strategy, it will work. Like I said, if it works, they are home and dry. If it doesn't, it will be a disaster. The platform I mentioned, and finally, people are comparing what Napo did to Professor Nana Jane Opukajima. I think we're trying to compare apples to oranges. Professor Nana Jane Opukajim's address was in a formal setting. People are wearing suits and ties and what have you. That was not what we witnessed at the Jubilee Park. But this was a campaign platform. And in campaign platforms messages, you actually target.
I'm sorry, but are you being outdoor to be a vice president of a country, or you are being outdoor to be a rabble-rouser?
That was the point I was coming to. So Napo failed to communicate to the nation. He communicated to his party and the party people. If that's a strategy, then it worked. If Napo was not supposed to address Ghanaians, but just to address the party folks, then it worked. Because as I sit here, I don't know what Napo is bringing to the table from his own mouth to assist Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to break the heat. I don't. But I envisage that another forum will be made available for him to speak to us in that regard.
Outdooring number 2?
Not really. So more or less like communicating the vision of the flag bearer through the running mate.
Outdooring number 2?
It's possible. You might want to name it that way.
1 and 2.
Like Kumawood movies, right? Yes. So and in conclusion, I think the party moving forward, if they had not paid attention, but I think they did, because they got him to prepare a speech, just that he didn't go by whatever he prepared. The party will have to pay much more attention to what he says, how he says it, and where he's even given opportunity to speak. Like you related to, he's spoken after that, right? He went to Wasa. His uncle is another chief there, so he went before his uncle and indicated that he has been misconstrued. Yes. Yes, in our political parlance down here in Ghana, owning up to something and apologizing or retracting, it's not in their addiction.
So no integrity.
Politicians, no. Politicians down here, no. I think Kufuor was the one who said he was going to appoint lesser ministers. When he became president, he realized that it was practically impossible. Then he apologized. Right.
Integrity.
But, yes, of course. He apologized that when he was outside, he didn't know how difficult it was. But coming in here, I realized that he needed much more hands to execute the job that he was given. And I think Atamnos, who also promised a one-time premium payment, realized that when he was confronted by the fact, it was practically not possible, because it's never done anywhere in the world where you pay one-time premium. I wonder how much that's going to be. And it will cater for your health needs till you die. Right. So, with some of these two
men of integrity.
Yes, it's become a challenge down here politically, because they feel owning up will mean that you've lost the debate and it will be used against you by your political opponent. My disappointment is that we had expected they take your stone for people like Kojo Yankson and what have you, those who said that
His own MPs who said he couldn't be, you know, a unifier.
Yes. He gave them a folder to chew on. Unfortunately, in political circles, when you do that, you will be taken on. And I've heard many people say that it's a good thing. There's a strategy. He wanted everybody to talk about the unveiling. See, everybody's talking about unveiling, but is it negative or positive? It's in social media influencing circle that we say that no publicity is bad publicity. In policy, there's bad publicity.
Thank you. Lawyer?
I don't even know what to say. And also, I don't also understand why people are disappointed. I don't know what to say here. I don't know why people are disappointed. I don't know why people are disappointed essentially because the MPP told us why they chose Napo, and I think their focus was to get Napo to rouse the base of the party. I think that's some of the reasons people are saying the essence of Napo's choice was to rouse the base of the party. So if the focus was to rouse the base of the party, and mind you, see, the base of the party is as people think. The base of the party is more than 500,000, if you ask me. Yeah, and there's somebody who is inside. The base of the party is more than 500,000. So a lot of perceptions and misperceptions, and then now, if their view was to cause Napo to rouse the base of the party, then he did just that. As in, then we shouldn't be surprised, because once again, and forgive me, I know he's the prophet. Yes, I know, but so he and right now, as I'm sold.
Professor is about to mention family.
Oh, certainly, I can't mention anything else. No, because you see, studying Napo, it was like the man was possessed. Seriously, he was possessed. Now he was possessed by the spirit that picked him. No, yeah. Now I'm listen. Actually, people think I'm joking, but it's really serious. Because you see, in terms of yes, obviously this is Kwame Nkrumah. That's why we were outraged. But how different is this statement? Not in terms of the content, but in terms of the spirit from the president. The president telling the people of what's called BP that I know that you didn't vote for me. That's why I'm not, and so I should have come here. Or tell me it confused.
It's very
so there's a certain spirit in their party that allows them to say
divisive, disrespectful,
nasty things, nasty things, and you don't have to be an Nkrumahist to be outraged, because he said this. Now let me say mine. Nana Akufo-Addo, you are the worst president this country has had. Joanna was better than you. Atamis was miles better than you. You are not fit to shine President Kufuor's shoes. Let Napo said this. Now I'm saying mine. Come on, as in for crying out loud. You see, but why would Napo say that? Because you see, for all the purposes, I know, and I don't Camila, he was saying his opinion. But that opinion is dishonest, because sometimes opinions can also be dishonest. That opinion is dishonest because opinions must be backed by facts. I know Kojo did a fantastic job at the universities. But I always say, I have a problem when we limit Nkrumah's impact, his greatness, to just the tangibles. Nkrumah was a leader who put together 4 nations into one people. Because Ghana, you see, we are not poor, economy isn't war and all, but we have something that other African countries don't have. And that's our Ghanaianness. The fact of my passport it is not written Ashanti. That wisdom that caused them to forge boarding schools. Or I always say I'm an Ashanti. I have 8 sisters. Yeah, you understand. My older sister is married to a Ghanaian, so I have Ghans as in my nieces and nephews. Second one is married to an Ewe man, so I have you understand. So how can I dislike Ghans or Ewes? Because I'm related to them. I have relatives who are Ghans and Ewes. But you have to take the wisdom, you understand, that leadership quality of Kwame Nkrumah to realize that in spite of us, we can't do nothing. I can have all the beautiful dreams and plans. If I can't put these people together as one, then everything will come to naught. You have Akufo-Addo who is actually dividing us. Say, oh, you didn't vote for me, so I won't help you. And you want to compare. You have the cockroach audacity to compare the worst president in this country to Kwame Nkrumah,
the founder of the country.
But what will cause him to say that? And that's why I come to my prophet's prediction. What will cause Napo? Because is he not afraid? It's not certain things that come from your mouth. Is he not scared? What will cause Napo? What will make him? You see, It's like there's something we see. See, before a guy tells a lady, you see that he likes a concert, then he believes that he will succeed. No guy will tell a lady that he likes her if he does not believe that he will succeed. So before Napo said what he said, he believed that he will be accepted within his party. What spirit will cause Napo to think that if it's not a familiar spirit? What spirit will cause him to say that if it's not the same spirit that chose him? You get it? So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. And I believe strongly that the MPP as a political party will get a huge shock in Ashanti region. But last 2 weeks, could you say something? Last time I'm not forced with him about the numbers. Because Ashanti region has changed. I'll tell people that just take your time, go and take political figures, voting figures from 1950 till now. And it is only the MPP that are making the numbers they're making in Ashanti region. In the past, UP, PPP or whatever, whichever party, was not making the 75% and was 75%. The reason why MPP had Ashanti region was because of the dislike of the Ashantis for J.J. Rawlings. I'm telling you, now JJ isn't there anymore. And that generation who suffered whatever suffering they suffered under J.J. Rawlings, that made them dislike him, are going. When you speak to a typical Ashanti man, and I'm an Ashanti man, a Kumasi man, 50 years and below, they do not, those you see, when I was growing up, just a statement, hey, Eddie from the FAO, changes everything. That statement doesn't work anymore. Eddie from the Eddie Co. It doesn't work anymore. Also, if you understand Kumasi very well, MPP was in Kumasi, and there was not that level of traffic jam.
It wasn't. The place wasn't full to capacity.
Yeah, because people from outside Kumasi, there was no traffic jam. So are they telling us that the people of Ashanti we don't think, and that you can give us any kind of leadership? And I said it somewhere, I'll say it again. You see, the people who suffered most from this non-leadership, are the SMEs. We are talking about, as we were talking about our economy, but there's a road government place. We also want to talk about fiscal. It's not just about spending. Fiscal also includes the taxes you levy. You understand? It also includes the subsidies. It includes the incentives. They are fiscal. Now, and that's a road government place in any economy, and also the monetary. Now, when you've gotten inflation where inflation is, because of your bad inflation targeting, where you've gotten interest rate where, as interest rate, what's called the exchange rate. His Excellency Mahmoud said it was dynamic exchange rate. When I say shallow exchange rate, when you've gotten these users taxes, these taxes that you came and referred, you said what you were abolishing, and you indeed abolished, but it became a clear case of a prophet, and that prophet won't be like Kojo, because Kojo is a correct prophet.
That's a good one.
A prophet exorcising demons from somebody, and that's the prophet. You go and invite there's a 70, and he goes and invites 200 more demons to repossess them. That's exactly what they did. Yeah, as abolish news as some certain, and then you bring times 3. Which people will suffer because of this non-lead is the people who are in the SME space. Right. And if you understand the Kumasi economy, it's an SME-driven economy. And I think when you've collapsed their businesses, you've eaten up their capital. You vote for it because everybody don't want to be listen, they must be serious. They've miscalculated. You understand? Actually, they've chosen somebody who's akin to a kamikaze as their vice presidential candidate. And myself, I said that His Excellency Bawumia is going to what's called discredit Napo. And Kojo said he begged to differ. Kojo, I stand with you now. I think this is a disaster of a choice, and the MPP is going to suffer. His Excellency Dr. Bawumia, already a very discredited candidate, is going to suffer more because of this choice. And come December 7th, 2024, by the way Ashantis vote, they will know that the Ashantis have not partaken. The Ashantis have not partaken in their familiar business, familiar spirit business. Thank
you. Insulting Kwame Nkrumah will not appease any group of people. I pray so. I pray so that insulting Kwame Nkrumah would not appease any group of people. I will not appeal to any days in Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana. I pray so. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time. We're out of time. Thank you. Always a pleasure to have you here. I enjoy my Thursdays. I have to say. Thank you. You just bring collection.
some quotations.
Thank you, Kwame. Thank you, Ivy. Thank you, Lawyer. Always a pleasure. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week. Have a lovely evening. Bye.